Did you know that some vitamins people take every day could actually increase the risk of dying sooner? In fact, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2011, led by Dr. Yako Mersu, looked at nearly 40,000 older women. The shocking result was that certain supplements were linked to higher mortality. Imagine that, vitamins which we always thought of as safe and protective, turning into a silent threat after 60. The reason lies in how your body changes with age. Your liver becomes slower at processing, your kidneys lose some of their ability to flush out excess, and your nerves are far more sensitive than before. That means a vitamin that once passed through your system in your 50s may now linger and build up, almost like a toxin slowly poisoning you without your knowledge. For decades, many of us believed that taking a handful of vitamins was like putting money in a health savings account. But after 60, that so-called insurance can backfire. The very pill meant to strengthen your bones or sharpen your mind could quietly do the opposite, weakening the very organs you want to protect. Let me tell you about Mary, a 68-year-old grandmother who loved tending to her roses. She began to feel tingling in her hands and numbness in her feet. She thought it was just normal aging, but as she started losing her balance, she went to the doctor. The diagnosis was heartbreaking. Years of taking extra vitamin B6 had caused nerve damage. A vitamin she trusted had slowly stolen her stability and her peace of mind. Stories like Mary's are not rare. Many seniors unknowingly harm themselves because they believe more vitamins must mean more health. That is why in this video, we are uncovering the 4 most dangerous vitamins for people over 60 and the 4 that are truly essential for a strong mind, a healthy heart, and a long life. Stay with me, because by the end, you will know exactly what to avoid and what to embrace to make sure your golden years remain vibrant and full of joy. The first vitamin that can quietly turn from a friend into a hidden danger after 60 is vitamin A. For decades, we were told it was good for our eyes and for glowing skin. Many older adults still think of it as one of the safest supplements, but the truth is more complex. Vitamin A is essential in small amounts. Yet when it comes in pill form and builds up inside an aging body, it can become toxic. Vitamin A is fat-soluble. That means it dissolves in fat and is stored in the liver. Unlike water-soluble vitamins that leave the body quickly, vitamin A can linger for weeks and months. Each capsule you take adds a little more to the liver storehouse. And as you age, your liver does not process compounds as efficiently as it once did. That makes the risk of overload far higher after 60. A level that might have been harmless in your 40s can be harmful in your 70s. What does this overload look like? At first, it is subtle. You might notice headaches that come and go, dizziness when you stand up too quickly, or unusually dry skin and brittle hair. Some people develop bone aches that they mistake for arthritis. In more serious cases, excess vitamin A can damage the liver, raise pressure inside the skull, or even trigger irregular heartbeats. And because the symptoms mimic common aging issues, most seniors never connect them to a vitamin bottle sitting on the shelf. Research backs up these concerns. A well-known study from Sweden in the late 1990s, led by Dr. Mellis, followed thousands of women and found that high intakes of preformed vitamin A were linked to a greater risk of hip fractures. Other studies summarized in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have confirmed that long-term high-dose retinol weakens bones instead of protecting them. And reviews by Peniston and Tanamiharjo in 2006 emphasized how narrow the safe range really is for vitamin A. The gap between enough and too much is much smaller than most people think. The danger lies mostly in the form of vitamin A used in supplements. Many products still contain retinol, which is the active form stored directly in the liver. Unlike beta-carotene from carrots, spinach, and sweet potatoes, retinol bypasses the natural safety check in the body. When you eat beta-carotene, your body converts only what it needs into vitamin A and leaves the rest harmlessly unused. But when you swallow retinol in a pill, all of it gets absorbed and stored. That means over time, even moderate doses can add up to toxic levels. One patient's story illustrates the risk well. A retired teacher in her late 60s took a daily multivitamin that contained vitamin A, plus a separate skin health supplement that also contained retinol. She thought she was protecting her eyes and complexion, but over the years she began to feel constant fatigue, occasional nausea, and persistent joint pain. Tests revealed elevated liver enzymes and bone thinning. Her doctors traced it back to chronic vitamin A overload. When she stopped the supplements and switched to a diet rich in colorful vegetables, her symptoms improved dramatically. So what should you do? The first step is to read your labels carefully. If your multivitamin contains retinol or vitamin A, acetate, ask your doctor whether you really need it. Most adults over 60 do not need extra vitamin A at all because ordinary foods provide enough. Instead of supplements, focus on natural sources like carrots, pumpkin, spinach, kale, and other leafy greens. The beta-carotene in these foods is far safer because your body decides how much to convert. The rest simply acts as an antioxidant without stressing your liver. The message is clear. Vitamin A is not the enemy when it comes from a balanced diet. But in pill form, especially in older age, it can quietly undermine your liver, bones, and heart. What used to be marketed as a protective vitamin can become a silent toxin if taken without medical need or supervision. By choosing food sources over capsules, you keep the benefits without the risks. The second nutrient that often causes more harm than good after 60 is iron. Many people still believe iron is something everyone needs daily. The truth is that deficiency is relatively uncommon in older adults unless there is bleeding from the stomach or intestines or a specific disease. In fact, for most seniors, the danger is not too little iron, but too much. Iron is a powerful double-edged sword. On the one hand, it is essential for carrying oxygen in your blood. But on the other hand, excess iron acts like rust inside your body. It drives oxidative stress, which is a process where unstable molecules damage tissues. This oxidative stress can injure the lining of blood vessels, strain the liver, and burden the heart. The brain is also vulnerable because iron overload can encourage the buildup of harmful proteins linked with cognitive decline. One of the biggest problems is that many multivitamins still contain iron automatically, even though most seniors do not need it. Over the years, these small daily doses can accumulate, especially in men and in women past menopause, who no longer lose blood regularly through menstruation. Blood tests sometimes reveal ferritin levels well above normal in older adults who never realized they were slowly loading their tissues with excess iron. Consider the story of Robert, a 72-year-old grandfather. He took a daily iron supplement because decades earlier he had heard it was good for energy. He never checked his levels. As time passed, he began to feel sluggish and short of breath. Tests eventually showed his liver was inflamed and his heart function was weaker than expected. The culprit was iron overload from years of unnecessary pills. Once he stopped and his doctor carefully monitored his diet and blood markers, his symptoms improved. But the damage served as a stark reminder that even a common mineral can poison if taken in the wrong context. Medical research supports this caution. Studies have shown that high body iron stores are associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and liver disorders. Hereditary hemochromatosis, a genetic condition where iron absorption is exaggerated, illustrates just how destructive excess iron can be. Even without that gene, smaller chronic overloads can chip away at health over time. So what can you do to stay safe? First, never assume you need iron unless your doctor confirms it with a blood test, checking hemoglobin and ferritin. If you are not anemic and your ferritin is normal, extra iron has no benefit and plenty of risk. Second, check your supplement labels. If your multivitamin contains iron and you have no deficiency, consider switching to an iron-free version. Third, pay attention to your diet. Most older adults in the United States already get enough iron from lean meats, beans, and fortified grains without any pills. There are safe ways to manage iron if you are at risk of overload. Donating blood under medical guidance is one method for lowering excess levels. Your doctor may also recommend regular monitoring to ensure your ferritin and transferrin saturation remain in a healthy range. What you should avoid is taking iron on autopilot just because it is included in a bottle or advertised as an energy booster. The bottom line is simple: iron is vital when you lack it, but dangerous when you already have enough. For older adults, it is far more common to face the danger of overload than deficiency. Unchecked, it can damage the heart, the liver, and even the brain. The lesson is to personalize, not generalize. Ask your doctor, check your blood, and be cautious about unnecessary iron supplements. Your health and energy depend more on balance than on blind addition. The third vitamin-like supplement that becomes risky after 60 is calcium when taken alone in pill form. For decades, doctors and advertisements encourage older adults, especially women, to swallow calcium tablets to prevent osteoporosis. It sounded simple and safe, but more recent evidence has revealed a serious problem. Calcium on its own does not always strengthen bones. In fact, when it is not paired with other key nutrients, it can end up in the wrong places. Calcium is a mineral that plays many roles. It builds the skeleton, helps muscles contract, and supports nerve transmission. But the body cannot decide where to place calcium without guidance. Vitamin D helps absorb it, magnesium balances it, and vitamin K2 directs it into bones instead of arteries. When calcium comes in as a high-dose pill without these partners, the body often deposits it into blood vessel walls. This process is called vascular calcification, and it raises the risk of heart attack and stroke. Research has sounded alarms. Meta-analyses by Dr. Ballin and colleagues published in the British Medical Journal in 2010 showed that calcium supplements without vitamin D were linked with more heart events. Other studies found that women who relied heavily on calcium tablets did not see the fracture protection they expected, but did face increased cardiovascular risk. These findings challenged decades of routine advice and forced experts to rethink how best to protect aging bones. The story of Linda illustrates this well. At 70, she was diligent about her health. She never missed a day of her calcium supplement, believing it was her shield against fractures. But despite her efforts, she began to suffer chest pain. Tests revealed severe atherosclerosis, with hardened plaques narrowing her arteries. Her doctors connected the dots. Years of calcium supplementation without the balancing effect of vitamin K2 and magnesium had contributed to calcium being laid down in vessel walls instead of bones. It was a devastating shock for someone who thought she was doing everything right. Does this mean calcium is bad? Not at all. It means calcium needs teamwork. For bone health, calcium works best when combined with vitamin D to boost absorption, magnesium to keep muscles and nerves in balance, and vitamin K2 to guide calcium into the skeleton. That way the mineral strengthens bone while leaving arteries flexible and clear. Food sources naturally offer this balance. Dairy products, leafy greens, almonds, and small fish with bones like sardines provide calcium along with other supportive nutrients. So what is the safe approach? First, do not take calcium pills automatically. If you already consume dairy, fortified milk, or a variety of greens, you may not need extra at all. If your doctor confirms low intake or deficiency, ask about a combined supplement that includes vitamin D and K2 instead of plain calcium carbonate. Second, spread intake through meals rather than swallowing a large tablet at once. This improves absorption and reduces the risk of kidney stones. Third, prioritize lifestyle factors that build bone strength, like resistance exercise, adequate protein, and balanced training to prevent falls. Calcium alone is like bricks without mortar. It is necessary but not sufficient, and when it piles up in the wrong place, it can become dangerous for your heart and circulation. The lesson for seniors is to move away from the old idea of single nutrient fixes and toward a more complete strategy that respects how minerals work together in the body. By choosing balanced nutrition and careful supplementation when needed, you can protect both your bones and your arteries at the same time. The fourth supplement that can quietly harm older adults is vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine. This vitamin plays a role in brain chemistry, metabolism, and red blood cell production. In small amounts, it is essential, but in larger amounts taken for years, it becomes a hidden toxin that damages the nervous system. Many people believe that water-soluble vitamins are always safe because the body can flush out the excess. But B6 is an exception. While it is water-soluble, it can still accumulate in nerve tissue when intake is consistently high. The result is neuropathy, which means nerve damage. The symptoms often begin subtly with tingling in the fingertips, numbness in the toes, or a strange burning sensation. Some people develop clumsiness or lose their sense of balance. As the problem progresses, walking becomes difficult and muscle weakness appears. What makes B6 especially risky is how easily overdose can happen. Many multivitamins contain more than the daily requirement of B6, and some seniors take 2 or 3 different supplements without realizing the totals are adding up. Energy drinks, protein powders, and fortified snacks sometimes contain extra B6 as well. Over months and years, the cumulative dose can exceed the safe limit without any clear warning on the label. Scientific evidence confirms this danger. Case reports in medical journals describe older adults who develop nerve damage after long-term use of supplements containing B6 at doses only slightly above the recommended daily allowance. Safety reviews by authorities like the European Food Safety Authority have set upper limits to reduce the risk, but many commercial products still contain amounts that creep close to or above those thresholds, especially if combined from multiple sources. The story of Mary, a 68-year-old grandmother, shows the reality. She noticed tingling in her hands and feet, but thought it was just circulation or arthritis. When she began to stumble and lose her balance, she finally sought medical help. Tests revealed neuropathy caused by chronic B6 overload from her daily multivitamin, plus a separate nerve health formula that also contained B6. The shock was that she had unknowingly poisoned her nerves with a vitamin she believed was protecting her recovery. The damage from excess B6 can take months to improve even after stopping the supplements. Some nerve injury may be permanent. That is why prevention is so important. For seniors, the safest strategy is to keep B6 intake within recommended ranges unless a doctor prescribes more for a specific condition like certain types of anemia. Even then, monitoring is critical. Food sources rarely cause overdose. Whole grains, bananas, poultry, and potatoes provide B6 in moderate amounts that support health without risk. That is why nutritionists recommend focusing on diet first and reserving supplements only for clear deficiencies or medical needs. So what is the takeaway? Vitamin B6 is not your enemy when consumed naturally in food and at safe levels, but the idea that more is always better is dangerous. For older adults already dealing with fragile nerves and balance issues, excess B6 can steal independence and mobility in a way that feels like accelerated aging. The key is awareness. Read every label, add up the totals from all sources, and talk with your doctor about whether supplementation is truly necessary. By respecting the narrow safety margin of B6, you can keep its benefits without suffering its harms. The first vitamin-like mineral that becomes truly essential after 60 is magnesium. This quiet nutrient does not get as much attention as calcium or vitamin D, but its role in healthy aging is enormous. Magnesium supports more than 300 biochemical reactions in the body. It calms the nervous system, steadies the heartbeat, helps regulate blood sugar, and plays a central role in building strong bones. Many older adults do not realize they are running low on magnesium because it is widely distributed in nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and whole grains. People assume they get enough. Yet diet surveys in the United States show that most adults consume less than the recommended amount, and with age, absorption from the gut declines while urinary losses increase. That means even if you eat the same foods at 70 as you did at 50, you may end up with much lower magnesium levels. What does deficiency look like? It often shows up as night leg cramps, restless sleep, or a racing heartbeat. Some people notice twitching eyelids or unexplained anxiety. Others struggle with constipation that resists fiber and water alone. Because these symptoms are common in aging, they are often dismissed as normal, but many improve dramatically once magnesium is restored. Research backs this up. Studies have shown that low magnesium is linked to higher risk of type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and heart rhythm disturbances. One analysis in the journal Hypertension found that seniors with adequate magnesium intake had lower blood pressure and less arterial stiffness. Magnesium also enhances the effectiveness of vitamin D in building bones, making it a hidden partner in osteoporosis prevention. Consider the case of an older gentleman who had trouble sleeping and constant muscle tightness. He tried herbal teas and stretching, but nothing worked. When his doctor checked his magnesium levels, they were low. After adding a daily magnesium supplement, along with more spinach and pumpkin seeds, His sleep improved within weeks and his muscle tension eased. His experience is common, and it shows how often magnesium deficiency masquerades as routine aging. The safest way to improve intake is through food. Dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, nuts like almonds and cashews, seeds like pumpkin and sunflower, beans and whole grains are all rich sources. For supplements, forms like magnesium, glycinate, or citrate are generally better absorbed and gentler on the stomach than the cheaper oxide form. Taking it with meals can improve absorption and reduce digestive upset. The key message for seniors is simple. Magnesium is a foundation mineral that supports sleep, calm mood, steady rhythm, and strong bones. When intake falls short, the body feels restless, tense, and fragile. When levels are restored, the body feels calmer, stronger, and more resilient. Unlike some vitamins that become toxic with age, magnesium becomes even more essential and often more deficient as the years go by. Making sure you have enough can transform your quality of life in subtle but powerful ways. The second essential nutrient after 60 is vitamin D3, often called the sunshine vitamin. It is famous for its role in building strong bones, but its influence extends far beyond the skeleton. Vitamin D3 affects immunity, mood, muscle strength, and even balance. Studies have repeatedly shown that seniors with low vitamin D levels are more likely to suffer falls, fractures, infections, and depression. The reason deficiency is so common after 60 is simple. Our skin loses the ability to produce vitamin D efficiently from sunlight. Even if you spend time outdoors, your body may create only a fraction of what it once did. Add to that the widespread use of sunscreen, cold winters in northern states, and reduced outdoor activity, and you have a recipe for chronic deficiency. Food sources alone, such as milk or fortified cereals, rarely provide enough. What does low vitamin D feel like? For some, it means constant fatigue and muscle weakness. Others notice their mood slipping into sadness or irritability. Some feel bone aches in the hips and legs that they mistake for arthritis. Infections also become more frequent because the immune system relies on vitamin D to activate its defenses. One large study from Harvard showed that seniors with higher vitamin D levels had fewer respiratory infections during winter months. The story of James brings this to life. He was in his 70s and struggled with low energy and persistent joint pain. He avoided supplements for years believing food was enough, but his doctor checked his blood level of vitamin D and found it was far below normal. After 6 months on a carefully monitored vitamin D3 supplement, his energy returned, his mood lifted, and his aches diminished. He said it felt like someone had switched the lights back on in his body. Scientific research continues to highlight these benefits. Meta-analyses have found that adequate vitamin D supplementation reduces the risk of falls in older adults, likely by strengthening muscles and improving coordination. Other studies link healthy vitamin D levels to better heart health and reduced risk of certain cancers. While the evidence is still growing, one thing is clear. Maintaining sufficient vitamin D3 is crucial for aging well. So how can seniors achieve healthy levels? The first step is testing. A simple blood test for 25-hydroxy vitamin D gives a clear picture of your status. Your doctor can then recommend a dosage tailored to your needs. For some, modest doses of 1,000 to 2,000 IU daily are enough. For others with very low levels, higher short-term doses may be required under supervision. Consistency is key because vitamin D takes time to build up in tissues. Food can help too. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are rich in natural vitamin D. Egg yolks and fortified dairy add to the total. But for most people, these foods alone cannot cover the gap. Supplements remain the most practical tool, especially in winter months or for those who rarely get sun. The message for seniors is this: vitamin D3 is not just a bone vitamin. It is a vitality vitamin. It brightens mood, strengthens muscles, guards immunity, and protects independence. Test your level, adjust your intake, and let this sunshine vitamin keep your later years strong and steady. The third essential nutrient for life after 60 is vitamin B12. This vitamin is crucial for producing red blood cells, maintaining healthy nerves, and supporting clear memory. Without it, the brain becomes foggy, the body weakens, and the risk of irreversible damage rises. It is one of the most common deficiencies in older adults, yet it is often missed because the symptoms mimic normal aging. As we get older, the stomach produces less acid. That acid is necessary to release B12 from food and bind it to intrinsic factor, which allows absorption in the small intestine. Medications such as antacids and diabetes drugs like metformin make the problem worse. The result is that even people who eat balanced diets with eggs, meat, and dairy can slowly become deficient without realizing it. The signs of deficiency are wide-ranging and sometimes frightening. Mild cases cause fatigue and pale skin. Moderate deficiency can bring numbness in the hands and feet, poor balance, and confusion. Severe deficiency may look like dementia with memory loss, irritability, and depression. Some people develop anemia that leaves them short of breath after simple activity. Others feel stabbing pains in their legs or find themselves stumbling when they walk. Research confirms the dangers. A large study published in Neurology showed that seniors with low B12 had more brain shrinkage and greater risk of cognitive decline. Clinical reviews emphasize that deficiency is underdiagnosed because doctors often attribute symptoms to aging itself. Thankfully, the condition is highly reversible if caught early. Treatment with supplements or injections can restore levels and improve symptoms in weeks. The story of an older woman named Margaret illustrates this well. She was 73 and began to feel forgetful and unsteady. Her family worried about early dementia. Tests revealed her B12 levels were very low. After a course of B12 injections, her memory sharpened and her balance returned. She felt as though she had been given back years of vitality and independence. Food sources of B12 include meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. But because absorption is impaired with age, diet alone is often not enough. That is why many clinicians recommend supplements in chewable, lozenge, or sublingual form that bypass some of the absorption barriers. In more severe cases, periodic injections ensure adequate levels. Monitoring with blood tests is important because the goal is not just to reach the lower limit of normal, but to maintain a healthy functional level that protects brain and blood. The takeaway for seniors is clear. B12 is not optional. It is a cornerstone of healthy aging. Ignoring it can lead to irreversible nerve and brain damage. But paying attention, testing regularly, and supplementing when needed can preserve memory, energy, and balance far into later life. This simple step can mean the difference between decline and continued independence. The fourth essential nutrient for healthy aging is omega-3 fatty acids, especially the two forms called EPA and DHA. These are found naturally in fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. They are also available in high-quality fish oil capsules. Omega-3s are unique because they fight inflammation, which is the silent fire that drives many age-related diseases from heart problems to arthritis to memory decline. Why does this matter so much after 60? As we age, the body tends to tip into a pro-inflammatory state. Small injuries take longer to heal, joints ache more often, and chronic conditions like heart disease or diabetes create constant low-level stress on tissues. Omega-3s help calm that fire. They make cell membranes more flexible, reduce harmful triglycerides in the blood, and even improve the way neurons in the brain communicate with each other. Research on omega-3s is extensive. A large trial called the GISSI study showed that people with heart disease who took fish oil had lower rates of sudden cardiac death. Other studies found that regular omega-3 intake reduces joint stiffness in older adults with arthritis. Meta-analyses suggest protective effects against cognitive decline, with seniors who consume more fatty fish showing slower memory loss over time. This is why many cardiologists and neurologists recommend omega-3s as part of a healthy aging plan. The benefits are not just medical numbers, they are lived experiences. Take the story of Henry, a 70-year-old retiree who struggled with aching knees and constant fatigue. His doctor suggested adding 2 servings of salmon per week or using a purified fish oil capsule. Within a few months, Henry noticed less morning stiffness and more stamina for his daily walks. He felt younger not because of a drug, but because his cells were literally functioning more smoothly. Food is the best source whenever possible. Grilled salmon, broiled sardines, or even canned mackerel can provide a powerful dose of EPA and DHA. If you do not enjoy fish, fish oil, or algal oil, supplements are reliable alternatives. Algal oil is especially useful for those who prefer plant-based options, but it may require higher doses to match the benefits of fish-derived oils. When choosing a supplement, it is important to look for purity and freshness. High-quality products are filtered to remove mercury and other contaminants. Keeping capsules in the refrigerator helps prevent oxidation, which can reduce effectiveness and cause a fishy taste. Dosages vary depending on health goals, but many experts recommend around 1 gram of combined EPA and DHA daily for general protection, higher if advised by a clinician for specific heart or inflammatory conditions. The takeaway for seniors is that omega-3s are like oil for your body's engine. They keep the heart beating smoothly, the brain thinking clearly, and the joints moving freely. They are one of the most evidence-based nutrients for extending both lifespan and health span. Making them part of your weekly meals or supplement routine is a simple and powerful step toward aging with vitality and comfort. So let us bring the whole journey together. After 60, your body handles vitamins and minerals very differently. The organs that once processed excess with ease now work more slowly. That means certain supplements that look safe can quietly turn into poisons. Vitamin A in pill form accumulates in the liver and weakens bones. Iron overload rusts the heart and liver. Calcium taken alone hardens arteries instead of strengthening bones. And vitamin B6 in high doses damages nerves and steals balance. These are the four to avoid unless a doctor prescribes them with careful monitoring. But there is also a brighter side. Some nutrients become even more important as the years pass. Magnesium calms the nervous system, improves sleep, and supports healthy bones. Vitamin D3 strengthens muscles, immunity, and mood. B12 keeps memory sharp and prevents anemia. Omega-3 fatty acids protect the heart, reduce inflammation, and nourish the brain. These four are safe allies that can add strength, clarity, and comfort to daily life when used wisely. The next step is practical. Open your medicine cabinet. Take each bottle in your hand and read the label carefully. Ask yourself, do I really need this? Is this nutrient on the danger list or the essential list? If you find iron or high-dose vitamin A in your multivitamin, it may be time to switch. If you do not see magnesium or vitamin D3, consider adding them under guidance. These small changes can make the difference between years of silent damage and years of steady vitality. Remember the stories we shared? Mary discovered her balance problems came from too much B6, not aging itself. Robert learned that iron taken without need damaged his liver. Linda realized that calcium pills hardened her arteries instead of saving her bones. But James felt renewed energy and optimism once his vitamin D3 was restored. These stories are not rare. They are lessons you can use right now to avoid harm and gain strength. Aging does not mean surrender. It means adapting with wisdom and precision. Your golden years can be active, independent, and joyful if you choose nutrients that respect your changing body. If this video spoke to you, click like, subscribe for science-based health tips, and share your own experience in the comments. Because the more we learn together, the stronger and safer we all become.